Well, I got some good news for this Mother's Day weekend, or possibly bad news for those of you guys that have become emotionally tied to these curtains. We put up a lot of the echo screens on the wall last night in the new studio we're building back there. We haven't finished it up just yet, but from what we've gotten so far, the sound, the echo in there is a whole lot better. I did a couple of test shots in there earlier this morning, and the echo is it's essentially gone. So we're going to finish putting up the rest of the screens this weekend, and hopefully we will be in the new studio by Monday. Hopefully. We'll see how it goes. But as for today, I'm about to go in today. I get so tired of people who continuously speak and have no idea what they're talking about. I get so tired of these people misconstruing words on purpose, taking things out of context in order to paint themselves as the victim. I'm tired of people like Draymond Green. He said something on Thursday that it kind of pulled back the curtain on the true agenda. It wasn't something all that revealing. It's something that we have known they're wanting to do for a while now. We talk about the ongoing culture war here on the channel all the time. The war against parents, where they want to brainwash your children. If I had a kid, which I thank God every day that I don't, but if I had children, I would be terrified to send them to public school. In the past, if you wanted to be a teacher, you had to go to college, you had to spend a semester, maybe even two, as a teacher's aide. There were certain qualifications, certain standards that you had to meet. Today, it seems the only qualification you need to be a teacher is to be a complete fucking weirdo. Is it non-binary? Why, yes it is. Excellent. Hire it. Does he spend his spare time uploading videos to TikTok, analyzing his passionate sex with the muffler? Yes, indeed he does. He fucked that muffler so hard, smoke shot out of the exhaust for minutes. I actually feel bad for the good teachers. The perception today of teachers, it's kind of similar to the perception of police officers. There are a lot of great teachers, but their reputation gets ruined by the handful of shit fucks. Another aspect of this ongoing culture war is the fight to censor speech. Those who have been infected by the woke fungus, which, by the way, did you guys hear what Joe Biden said the other day? This dude, the other day, Joe Biden said the greatest threat to America is white supremacy. He said the greatest threat to America is the MAGA movement. In other words, the greatest threat to America, white Donald Trump supporters. You know, I don't remember Donald Trump supporters burning down major cities. That was the sexually frustrated virgins. I don't remember Donald Trump supporters tearing down statues of Abraham Lincoln. That was the unbathables. They tore down statues so they had shelter when it rained. The greatest threat to America is not the MAGA movement. The greatest threat to America is not China. It's not Russia. It's not ISIS. It's not terrorism. The greatest threat to America today, it comes from within the woke movement. There is no cure for wokeism. Once you've been infected with the fungus and truly indoctrinated, it's over for you. These people know they can't further their agenda based on their values. They can't further their agenda on their platform. They know America has rejected their bullshit. They know the vast majority of parents don't want their kids growing up to be a Leah Thomas. For 2 years, they have tried to convince you that America is an evil, racist country. It's transphobic, homophobic, all the phobics. They've tried to convince you that white people are born with privileges that aren't given to minority communities. The problem is, you don't believe any of that bullshit. And when I say you, I'm talking about people of all races. Black people, they don't believe the bullshit. I can't tell you how many times a week I receive emails or mentions on Twitter from black men and women thanking me for calling out the bullshit. They know what's going on. They know their community, their culture is being used by these evil motherfuckers who are trying to turn all of us against each other. It's not working though. When you're trying to overthrow the system, which is exactly what they're trying to do, but when you're trying to overthrow the system and you can't convince the majority of the population to see things your way, what do you have to do? You have to silence dissenting voices. You have to silence the opposition. You have to censor free speech. It is impossible to overthrow the system. It's impossible to have a tyrannical government if you have free speech. You can't do it. With Elon Musk acquiring Twitter, which caused all woke boners to become flaccid, the push for censorship, the war on free speech, it's ramped up. But don't take my word for it. Listen to the words of Draymond Green. Listen to him explain the changes coming to media.
The landscape of media is about to change. You will no longer be allowed to sit there and say what you want. You will no longer be allowed to put out these false narratives. You will no longer be able to allow to not know what you're talking about, and we're going to listen to you. Those days are long gone.
I actually edited out the beginning where Draymond Green pulled the race card on Chris Russo. I did that for a reason. I didn't want this video to be about race. We talked about that earlier this week when JJ Redick pulled the fucking race card. But you heard what he said. You heard what Draymond Green said regarding the change in media. You will no longer be allowed to say what you want to say. You will no longer be allowed to put out these false narratives. You will no longer be allowed to not know what you're talking about. That's interesting. According to Draymond Green's own logic, I guess he will no longer be allowed to speak because he has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. Matter of fact, according to the logic of Draymond Green, the entire virgin community will be silenced because the woke movement is nothing but false narratives and propaganda. The entire agenda is based on myths and bullshit. People might not take this seriously because it's coming from Draymond Green, who, next to Anthony Davis, is the most overrated player in the NBA, but you should not take this lightly. Draymond Green is speaking the truth. The war on speech, this push for censorship, it's real. Why do you think they reacted so strongly to Elon Musk buying Twitter? They are afraid for the truth to come out. Since the advent of social media, big tech, the freaks and weirdos, they have essentially run the show. We can't have Donald Trump on Facebook and Twitter. Ban him. We can't have the New York Post spreading the truth. Ban them. They have had the ability to shape the narrative. Even though people like us, people like you and me, we can decipher through the bullshit, there are a lot of people who can't, especially the younger generation. The youth have been poisoned by social media. They cloak this need for censorship under the guise of protecting you. We must protect the population from misinformation. People are too stupid to separate fact from fiction. We must protect them. This is the oldest trick in the book. This method has been used since the beginning of time to convince people to fall into compliance. Hell, just look at recent history. 2 years ago, they convinced you that you needed to stay inside your house to protect yourself from the COVID. It was all bullshit. They tried to convince you that masks were the answer. The only thing masks accomplished was hiding the hideous faces of social justice warriors. If you are an ugly member of Woke United Methodist, you should be required to wear a mask at all times. Hitler convinced the Germans that they needed protection from the Jews. Castro convinced Cubans they needed protection from America. Mao convinced the youth in China they needed protection from their parents, from the wealthy. The end result is always the same. The mainstream media, they want you to believe there is a new epidemic in America. It's called misinformation, disinformation. Number one, they are the ones spreading so-called misinformation. But number two, there has always been false information. Lies are nothing new. Hell, go read the Bible. The beginning of mankind started with a lie. The devil lied to Eve, convinced her to eat the one fruit God told her she should not eat. People have been lying ever since. Draymond Green is not lying when he says you will no longer be allowed to say what you want to say. It's already happening. It's been happening for years on social media. Go on Facebook and say Fauci fucking isn't effective. You will be banned. The ironic thing is, if you want to completely delete your account, Facebook will not allow it. There's an Instagram account of me. It's old. It wasn't created by me. I think my ex-wife created it over 10 years ago. I mean, there was nothing malicious to it, just a picture of me and her. Recently, I have tried to have the account deleted. I don't have access to it. I don't know the login, don't know the password. So I contacted Facebook and Instagram to have the account removed. Sent them my driver's license, sent them everything they asked for to remove the account. Which, by the way, has had zero activity in over a decade. 0 followers, 0 people that it's following. It's just a picture. But Facebook will not delete the account. But if I had access to the login and I created a post that said social justice is the biggest threat to America, that account would be removed in seconds. The reason they want to censor speech, they know Americans are not willing to comply with their twisted agenda. If they can silence dissenting voices where people only have access to the propaganda they're pushing, over time, they would be able to convince enough of the population to see things their way. And look, it would work. If you tell people something over and over and you remove access to the opposite opinion, you will eventually convince people to believe the lie. You tell a lie over and over again, it eventually becomes a false truth. I go back to the Bible reference. Eve did not fall for the lie the first time the devil brought it up. She knew she wasn't supposed to eat the forbidden fruit. When it was mentioned the first time, the second time, maybe even the third time, she was able to resist. But over time, after hearing the same argument day after day, eating that forbidden fruit didn't seem so bad. It's the same concept with the woke agenda. If they get the ability to remove the truth, remove dissenting voices, they will eventually be able to convince people social justice isn't so bad. We don't need freedom of speech. It's too dangerous. We don't need fair elections. We don't need term limits on a president. A dictatorship wouldn't be so bad. We don't need freedom. We need safety and security. Let me know what you think. Draymond Green telling you of the changes coming in the mainstream media. Only one opinion will be allowed. Do you think he's right? Will we eventually lose the ability to speak freely? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. Enjoy your Mother's Day. I hope to see you tomorrow.